My first guest is Dr. Antoinette Smith. Dr. Smith, please give us a little bit about your background and your book.
Sure, thank you. I am a wife, a mother, a professor. I am an experimentalist, behavioral researcher, and I recently authored a book called You're More Than What Meets the Eye, The Independent Woman's Guide to Becoming Wifely Material.
How did you come up with that short title?
So, my target audience are women that focus primarily on their career and put less emphasis on a relationship. Or that woman that may have the man of her dreams but is taking too much of a leadership role and not allowing him to be the leader in so many ways. Mm-hmm. Or that woman that has 1 foot in the relationship and 1 foot out of the relationship just in case. Yeah. Also that woman who's trying to please her family members more so than please the love portion of her life.
Well, that's interesting.
So, just to say that it's important that, we all have this great foundation within us, and so we have to understand our mindset, question our thoughts, know the roots of our thoughts, and really build that foundation, know ourselves before we can take on another human being and sustain marriage. So everything we do is about our attitude and our mindset. So my book is a memoir of what I've gone through, my transition from becoming a very career-focused individual, being that pretty much independent type woman, and trying to really put someone else involved with me, so more of an interdependent person.
And Antoinette,
and being comfortable with that.
Yeah. Now you also lecture on that book as well, is that correct?
No, the strange thing is I come from the accounting background. So I teach graduate and undergraduate students.
Okay. Right.
I teach them accounting information systems. I have a lot of adults in my graduate class. And so we all have, in the accounting, I can't speak for everyone, but in my field, similar to other fields, we tend to, we are high-driven. So a lot of things are, we're very focused, we're very goal-oriented, and so I was thinking maybe I can take that same strategy and apply it over here to really having a balance with both career and my personal life, and being able to satisfy both and go after my personal life with the same energy, which I have found to be very beneficial in my career. And no one said that to me. No one said, I can't say no one said it, but I finally realized that the same characteristics you need to be a wife, you can actually apply them in your career. So that's being humble, that's being patient, that's knowing exactly when to speak, that's using the softness that all women have, that's just knowing when and where and how. I'm sitting here thinking about how when I wrote my book, I made sure not to cross over into sustaining a marriage. And the reason I wrote the book is because I felt like there was not many resources for women like me. I feel like we are unique as individuals, but I had a story, and it had to be one that I could share with other women, and it would help them. The ironic thing is I'm getting married women saying, I'm learning from you. So, but I felt like if I wanted, I'm Mrs. now, I'm Mrs. Smith now, so but I felt like if I wanted to be successful in that area, I had to, dig into the resources. So the book is pretty much about how difficult it was for me to even get to that point and to transition. And so the whole book is, about me telling my story, and then I add in theory and testimonies and interviews from other people, so other people are allowed to tell their stories as well.
Well, I think, and I've written both government espionage as well as science fiction, and it is true that we do put ourselves in those books in some way, in some fashion, and certainly from our experiences throughout life.
Mm-hmm. Because I've learned recently, so my book the ebook and paperback just became available on Amazon and .com. And so what happened was, even though I understood my target audience, when people would ask me questions or interview me about my book, I wasn't specific about my target audience. I just want to add that that's also important. So you can write in that direction, but you need to also be able to speak in that direction.
Absolutely.
Because we can get confused. I'm just saying, if there's anyone, I just want your listeners to know that someone to ask you a question and throw you in left field, but you have to remain focused even on your target audience, because you can't have the answer to everything.
And
for everybody.
And I would also like to talk a little bit about what you and I had a conversation. It's been over a month ago now, Dr. Smith, regarding your book, and this deals with targeting your audience in a way, because one of the things we talked about was how to get your book out there and get it noticed. And believe it or not, one of the techniques that you used was actually going after what's called crowdfunding, or funding your project. And you didn't necessarily need that because you already had your book pretty much ready to go. It's just that this was a way, a technique to get people to recognize what you're doing. And can you share a little bit with our listeners what you did?
Yes, Mr. Kelly, first I want to give you full credit.
No.
I've spoken about you almost every day since then, because no one told me. No one told me to go out and actually place a link on your website where people can actually fund your project. Right? And so I did it, and I raised so much money. And I was a little nervous about it. I thought, why in the world would someone fund the writing of my book? And I mean, it was unbelievable as I saw donations of $5 come in, $25 come in, $100 come in. And even if I had a chance to speak to individuals, so let's suppose I walked up to someone I knew, and I would say something like, if you don't mind, just $5 or whatever, and I mean, they would end up understanding the book, listening to it, and say, guess what, I'll give you $100. So I want to thank you for it, because I was able to raise, in a short period of time, I had it up for a month, under a little like around $2,000.
Okay.
So $2,000 that I used to have people proofread my book even further. Just pay for more advertisement and everything that I've been, and I still have some money left over that I haven't used yet. Well, thank you for that, because it would have all come from me completely.
Right, and I think that's the important thing too. And you actually did target an audience, believe it or not, because you went after family and friends to let them know you have this book. You went after people that you know and told them about your book. So you were actually creating a basis for those sales. And even though it is funding, let's be real, because the incentive behind these funding projects, by the way, is that if you give me $10, you're going to get a copy of the paperback, or if you give me $20, you may get a copy of the hardback. So it's an incentive program. And it's sort of like pre-selling your book is the way it works. Well, let's talk a few minutes about the importance of the e-books versus the bookstores. What experiences has everyone had here? Well, Nancy, you haven't, but you will. You will.
Kelly, can I get a question in?
Sure, absolutely, Dr. Smith.
Before we move forward,
sure.
I just want to, because I'm hearing take advantage of every opportunity, right? So for me, just getting my book out, it means, do I speak when I'm just having dinner with someone? Do I speak when I'm at the movie theater? I mean, do I pass out cards, for example, when I'm at the movie theater? If I'm attending a game where there are a lot of families, game, my daughter, she runs track, so do I pass out cards at that point? I mean, what does it really mean, taking advantage of every opportunity?
Everything you just said. It's all a go. You have to be proud of what you did, and you have to believe in what you did, and that you can share it. And then, I will start talking to someone about what I've done and realize I don't even have any cards on me, so hopefully they'll remember what I tell them. But it's a good idea to have those cards on you so you can hand them a business card or something about your novel or your book, whatever it is, and you should talk about it whenever you feel like it.